Lights Out is directed by David F. Sandberg, who's making his first major directorial debut. This film also stars Teresa Palmer, Gabriel Bateman, and Maria Bello. This film is based on a short film also directed by Sandberg of the same name, in which a woman is going to bed, and as she's turning the lights off, she sees a creature. She turns them back on, the creature disappears, so on and so forth. Eventually we do see the creature, and that's what this is based on. It's made its rounds on YouTube, it's made its rounds on Facebook. I'm going to leave the link to it down in the description below so you can watch it and get kind of an idea of what this film is. Obviously this is a big budget movie, so it takes that same exact premise but it expands on it much, much more. In this version we get a much more expanded story, like I was saying, where it follows more or less a mother, a daughter, and a son. Now this family is kind of broken. The mother and the daughter have this sort of broken relationship after the father died. Now the little brother is from a different father, so I think technically they never really say they're step brother and sister, but that's kind of what it implied. But he basically is going through the same issues because as a little girl, the daughter had the same experiences where she sees this creature, but she pretty much blocked it out and ignored it, and then she ran away from home more or less. So now the little brother is going through that same exact experience of seeing this creature that the mother is talking to at night. And you can only see when the lights are completely off. It's tormenting him, it's not killing him, but it's basically driving him insane. He's not sleeping. So now he's got to enlist the older sister's help to come and help figure out how to stop this entity. For the positives of this film, I think it expanded very much on the original short film. I think the short film's maybe like 10 minutes, if that. But we don't really find out a story, and I think this film expanded on that, which is kind of to be expected in a big budget film. We get a backstory to what this creature is, although it takes a little while. We get a backstory as to who these characters are, because in the original short film, we never found out where the creature was from, what their motivation was. We never found out the woman who turned the lights on and off going to bed was, or what her deal was. It gave it a story that was easy enough to follow, but also gave it some justice, because a lot of horror films, especially nowadays, they just find an object and that's some horrific event, or like a single strand of hair happens to be laying around or something, and that's what's keeping a ghost tied to them. But this one, it really gives you a better story and a better look as to what's keeping this creature attached to this family. And again, that goes to great writing, because oftentimes horror movies just sort of slap things together in an effort to make money, but this one, I guess, built on something that was already sort of recognized with the short film and improved on it very, very much. Also, speaking of characters, what I liked a lot about Lights Out as opposed to a lot of other horror movies, with exceptions to like The Conjuring 1 and 2, and a couple of other films, was that we sort of get to understand these characters. The characters actually develop as people. They actually feel like they're real people. Oftentimes, I watched Ouija not that long ago, the first Ouija movie, and I feel like it's just a bunch of teenagers trying to make references to things to get teenagers to watch and engage with it. But it doesn't work very well because characters go the wrong direction. This film, they actually were smart. They felt like they were people who would be logical in a situation like this. If there's a front door and an upstairs, they're going to go out the front door. They're not going to go upstairs and corner themselves, which I think was very admirable, and which also, again, goes back to the writing. Another thing was that it didn't constantly hinge itself upon jump scares. Yes, there are plenty of jump scares scattered throughout this film, but it did it in a way where they kept using the same concept of this creature using the dark to move around, but they did it in a smart way where it kept it more or less kept evolving. You kind of have like this, oh man, this is going to be bad, instead of going like the jump scare that normally comes with horror movies, which I think is a lot more enjoyable as a horror movie because you sort of understand what it is that's scaring you, and instead of just being scared just for being scared. Another great positive about this film was the acting. The acting was phenomenal. Teresa Palmer, who plays the daughter, did this great job of being constantly frightened, but also sort of brave enough to try and figure out how to help her brother and how to try and save her mom, even though they have kind of this broken relationship. Gabriel Bateman, who plays the little boy, I think did a phenomenal job. I mean, I think this is probably his first film. I haven't checked his like IMDb page, but I'm pretty sure I haven't seen him. But he did a phenomenal job as not only a scared little boy, but a brave one. But he was willing to take on something that he didn't understand in order to save his family, his mom specifically. So I think that goes into great writing and great acting, and each character was very well developed. Another character that I found myself really liking and attaching myself onto a little bit was the boyfriend of Teresa Palmer's character. He wasn't just some dumb guy that had zero logic to him. He wasn't a meathead. He wasn't just trying to get laid, although there are portions where he's trying to get laid. But they made him very smart. They made him feel like a real person with real issues. A nice little side story is going between Rebecca, Teresa Palmer's character, and Bert, Alexander de Percia's character, where he wants to sort of move, not necessarily move in, but he wants to evolve the relationship with Rebecca. So I think that was another nice little subplot that they placed throughout the film, that these characters actually have lives. They're not just some throwaway character who's going to die when you least expect it, or even when you most expect it. On to the negatives. I think I only have one glaring negative for this entire film, and that would be the creature, the one that's haunting this family, this entity. I think that it was very creepy. I think it was very scary, but the reveal that they give it just wasn't what I expected. If you watch the short film beforehand, I think that the short film's creature was much scarier as a reveal than in the film. In the film, I felt like, even for some reason, even though they had a bigger budget, I felt like it was very low budget. It just seemed like sort of this generic type of creature that I wasn't that big of a fan of. I definitely like the shorts version better, and I wish they would have expanded on that creature, like that look in the film, instead of going what they went with. But I think other than that, that was my biggest complaint about this entire film. The grade I'm going to give Lights Out is a B+. I feel it was a very strong horror film that mixed a lot of things very, very well, including the acting, the writing, the genre as well, horror. I feel like it's very much a thriller, a mystery, and a drama all mixed together to create this pretty good movie. It's very surprising. I'm going to highly recommend this film. I think it's probably even one of the best horror films of the year. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and like always, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos, and we'll see you in the next one.